This Imperium is not the one I built. It is a rotting husk, clinging to faith in place of reason, to fear in place of unity. Robute Guilliman.
If there is an image that could describe the Imperium of Man right now, it would be a sickly, weakened patient, lost in a forest full of predators. Like a kind of plague that corrodes everything, the Tyranid is silently spreading across the galaxy. They are a powerful species, a galaxy-level collective intelligence, disguised in the form of a wild swarm of locusts, an army born to evolve, to learn and adapt perfectly, a machine created to consume and destroy. Leviathan is not the final wave. It is merely a gentle greeting before the coming biological cataclysm. At the same time, chaos, which used to be pure uncertainty and madness, something appeared for the first time, an alliance with unity and trust. Abaddon is no longer alone. He has joined forces with Vashtor, an ambitious greater daemon, who is constructing the Ark of Omen's vessels that serve both as travel tools and destructive summoning rituals. Despite the return of the Lion, the plan of the War Master of Chaos and the greater daemon has made great progress, as the key fragments are almost complete. Once the key is completed, a nightmare even worse than the Horus Heresy will officially begin. Deep within the Tomb Worlds, the ancient masters of the galaxy are slowly awakening. With watchful eyes, the Necron may once again do what they have done before, exploiting the chaos between all factions to appear at the last minute, using their divine power to destroy everything and rule the galaxy forever. The Imperium of Man is like a battered, bruised warrior who still has to face three mighty beasts. Two are continuously tearing it apart, while one patiently lurks, waiting. But is the Imperium truly out of hope? I don't think so. They can still hold on if... 1. The return of the Lion. Lionel Johnson, the Lion of Caliban. The first son of the Emperor has returned. No longer a forgotten legend imprisoned, the Primarch is truly taking up his sword to fight for humanity once again. His return may be a blessing, but it could also become a curse. If the Lion and Guilliman cannot reconcile, if one's ideals of fairness collide with the other's political pragmatism, a civil war could erupt. This time it's not because of traitors, but because loyalists no longer accept each other. But I don't think that will happen. The Lion has changed. From what I can sense after the Ark of Omen events, the Lion has matured. 10,000 years of slumber seem to have replaced his ego with understanding. It led many of the fallen to return to the right path. The Lion no longer sees the fallen as stains to be purged with fire and sword. Instead, he recognizes that within each lost warrior may still burn a dim flame of loyalty. It just needs someone to lead them back. And he has become that person. No longer the cold judge of the Dark Angels. The Lion is now a father, a teacher, a commander worthy of respect, even for those who are lost like the fallen. Warriors thought to be lost forever are brought back not by punishment, but by belief. In the darkest night, only the light of forgiveness can guide the way home. For Guilliman, this is surely good news. Despite their past disagreements, Guilliman loves his brothers. Moreover, he is smart enough to understand how much a loyal Primarch returning can boost both strength and morale for the Imperium. But he will also anticipate potential discord. If the two can find understanding, the Imperium of Man will be blessed. If they fall into mistrust and division, the end of mankind is near. 2. Cold alliances, survive or die. The Imperium of Man was built on hatred toward Xenos. No peace with Xenos is a core tenet of the Imperial Creed, but in today's context, that very doctrine might become a death sentence. In this vast galaxy, the Imperium is not alone in its hatred for chaos. The Eldar share that enmity. Nearly annihilated by the birth of Slaanesh, and forced to flee from his hunger every day. As the saying goes, The enemy of my enemy is my friend. A human-Eldar alliance is inevitable, and in fact, in recent events, the Eldar have aided humanity at crucial moments. If not for the intervention of Yvraine of the Anari, Guilliman would still lie cold in his stasis tomb. Many Farseers have sent signals or indirect actions to help the Imperium notice the rise of Hive Fleet's Leviathan and Kraken. Eldrad Ulthran, the legendary Farseer of Ulthwé, even approached Guilliman and gave him a grave warning about the dangers he would face returning to Terra. The alliance between Eldar and the Imperium is already implicitly acknowledged by both sides, for both understand. They need each other to fight off the looming horrors. Not just chaos, but the ravenous Tyranids, and the awakening of the Necrons. A threat that perhaps only the Eldar truly comprehend in its full terror. As Eldrad once told Guilliman,
Know this. The fates of humanity and Eldari are bound together. Either both species will survive, or neither will. Your Emperor understands this. There are greater enemies than the primordial annihilator. In the times to come, you will see. The struggle is only beginning. The old war returns. Remember this conversation, and reconsider carefully on the day realization comes, whether you want to stand alone.
aside from the Eldar, there is one more species worth mentioning, the Tau. Currently, only the Eldar and the Tau are viable allies. The Necrons are impossible for long-term alliances. First, because they are powerful, and second, because their goal is galactic domination. And surely, no one here is seriously considering allying with the Orcs, right? The Tau are a young species, but one that is developing rapidly and with vision. At first, the Tau were naive, but gradually, they've discovered the horrors beyond their borders. Soon, they will realize their place in this universe and what they must do, not to expand their empire, not to spread the greater good, but simply to survive. The Tau are too weak and too naive compared to the threats ahead. The question is, how long until they truly understand that? The good news is, they are already brushing against nightmares. They even defeated Hive Fleet Gorgon, but that is only a fingertip compared to the full horror of the Tyranids. The Tau cannot withstand a full Tyranid assault, nor do they have the knowledge or strength to resist chaos. If humanity can offer them a fair proposal, perhaps both species can fight side by side. The Tau are powerful and flexible in ranged warfare, an extremely valuable addition for the Imperium. Tau technology is advanced, in contrast to the Imperium's stagnation. In return, the Imperium could share with the Tau the knowledge of the threats they are about to face. If an alliance with the Tau and Eldar is achieved, we will have a solid bloc, one where the interests of all three races seem to align. The Tau can assist the Imperium in sweeping up Tyranids as Brideheads. Their victory over a Hive fleet proves they are effective against such aggressive foes. In contrast, the Eldar's deep knowledge of the warp will be invaluable in countering chaos. This vision may seem far-fetched, but given the threats humanity faces, allying with lesser evils that share a common enemy is necessary. 3. The return of the Primarchs. At a time when the Imperium of Mankind is in its greatest peril, it needs its demigods to return. The Emperor's sons, the most glorious and magnificent creations humanity has ever known. Return and stand with us. Let them return and stand beside their brothers to save this dying empire. Among the Primarchs still missing, there are 3 with the highest likelihood of return. Russ, Khan, and Vulcan. All 3 are highly likely to still be alive, especially this one. It is also very likely that they have not been corrupted too much by the warp. In short, these 3 have the strongest chance of returning intact. First, the Wolf King. Russ's return would carry extraordinary significance, not only because he is a Primarch of immense power, but because his return would make the Space Wolves hunt with masterful precision again, like a wolf pack rejoicing at the return of its alpha. Since Russ's departure, the Space Wolves have remained strong, but something is missing in them. Over the 10,000 years since, they have tirelessly served the Imperium, but often acted on pure instinct and lacked cohesion. If the Ultramarines, Blood Angels, and Imperial Fists all had extraordinary feats, the most famous event that the Space Wolves were the main characters in was the event that took Grey Knight several centuries to recover from. But if Russ returns, things will change, becoming more fearsome, more united, and more effective. And unlike most Primarchs, he left voluntarily.
I go on the final hunt. I shall not return until the wolf time is upon us.
10,000 years have passed, and the great hunt of the wolf may now be drawing to its close. When Russ returns, he will likely bring a gift. It could be a relic that helps the Imperium combat demons more effectively. It could be a discovery that strengthens the Imperial armies. It might even be a method to restore the Emperor himself. We can only guess, but it is certain that what he brings will not be ordinary. Beyond Russ, the return of Khan would be equally valuable. Jagatai Khan is perhaps the least mentioned of the loyal Primarchs, but that does not reflect his stature. It is because he vanished mysteriously. He did not fall in battle, nor did he defect. Instead, he rode straight into the webway in pursuit of the Drukhari, who had slain his comrades and never emerged again. Yet the White Scars still believe he is not dead. The webway is an ancient labyrinth, an Eldar creation from their golden age, where time and space twist, a realm neither chaos nor humanity fully understands. If Khan still lives, he may have wandered for millennia in this chaotic dimension, facing all manner of warp-spawned creatures, drifting into ghost cities, or perhaps discovering secrets that survived from the war in heaven. A theory has gradually emerged. Jagatai Khan not only survived, but discovered something, a passage, a weapon, or an ancient knowledge that could change the course of the galaxy. If he returns, for the White Scars, it would be a revival of their identity. Eeing them from a spiritual crisis in an Imperium growing ever more dogmatic. For the Imperium, the return of Jagatai Khan alone would be an invaluable boon. The Indomitus Crusade is currently underway under Guilliman's command. And who better to support such a campaign than the true master of reconnaissance, harassment, and precision first strikes? Khan's return would dramatically enhance the speed, flexibility, and tactical efficiency of the Indomitus Crusade. Khan is unburdened by dogma or politics. He is a clean Primarch, not bound by religious fanaticism, not obsessed with glory, not driven by hatred. Khan is free and unpredictable, but his loyalty to the Imperium is beyond question. Just as he outplayed the War Master and became a major obstacle during the Siege of Terra, Khan will appear at the most crucial moment, in the most effective way. The last and most likely to return, and the one most certain to still be alive, is Vulcan. He vanished after the Horus Heresy, only to reappear when the Imperium was on the brink during the War of the Beast, directly confronting the largest monster the Empire had ever faced. No proclamations, no medals. He simply charged into the heart of hell and survived. The War of the Beast showed us one thing. Vulcan is not just a symbol. He is a weapon, a living weapon. And that is exactly what the Imperium needs most now. An immortal, capable of fighting like a nightmare on the battlefield. A master smith, more knowledgeable in technology than even the highest Magos. Someone who could open new directions for the Mechanicus, if they dare. A natural leader, with absolute influence over the Salamanders and their successor chapters, uniting them by his very presence. A Primarch with no ambition, no politics, no dogma. He fights only so that humanity can survive. In an age being crushed by Tyranid swarms, warp-born nightmares, Vulcan's return would mark a historic turning point. If these three Primarchs, Russ, Khan, and Vulcan, return, it will not only be a reinforcement of strength, but the clearest signal that the Imperium still has the will to rise again. In the darkest hour, when every system is fracturing, their return could be the turning point that allows humanity not just to survive, but to strike back. 4. The Reforms. When Guilliman awoke, he did not find an Imperium like the one he had built. Instead, he found a decaying theocratic machine, where worship had replaced science, where dogma had killed innovation, and where loyalty had been replaced by fear. Guilliman is the only one who dares to ask, is this still what we fought to protect? But he cannot reform it alone. 10,000 years is far too long. IT has seeped into the very nature of the Imperium of Mankind. Even as the son of a god, Guilliman cannot possibly purge all the stagnation that has taken root. Lion L. Jonson, Leman Russ, Jagatai Khan, and Vulcan, legends revered as demigods, stand beside Guilliman. A new power block will emerge, but multiple Primarchs, each representing the remnants of their legions, with influence spanning millions of regiments and billions of loyal followers. When that happens, the Custodes will not remain silent. The Adeptus Mechanicus will not be able to ignore it. The High Lords of Terra would surrender without daring to rebel. Reform is inevitable, especially Mechanicus. The Mechanicus is the core of the Imperium, but it is also the Imperium's Achilles heel. For millennia, they have worshipped technology as divinity, turning knowledge into taboo. Every innovation is heresy. Every experiment is treachery. But in a galaxy where Tyranids evolve by the hour, where chaos has secured the warp gates, where Necrons can annihilate entire star systems in seconds, a retroactive technology culture is a death sentence. Guilliman knows this, and if he has the backing of the Primarchs and the Custodes, he could force the Mechanicus to change. No need to overthrow them. Just one concession, and the entire machine will have to turn. The new Imperium, stronger, awakened. If Guilliman succeeds, we might see a future like this. A more adaptable Mechanicus, willing to innovate, to invent, even to study Tau or Eldar technology. A modernized Imperial Guard, no longer throwing soldiers into the warp as cannon fodder. A more mobile Imperial Navy. And above all, an Imperium no longer afraid of knowledge, but using knowledge to survive. But reform is never easy. Guilliman is not a revolutionary. He is a pragmatist. He knows that pushing too hard could shatter an empire already rotten to the core. Thus, his reform will not be rebellion, but peeling away the rot, step by step, layer by layer, until the core is renewed. The question is, will he have enough time to do it? Before the galaxy swallows them all, the Imperium is no longer the glorious empire of old. It is now a creaking machine, struggling to survive in a chaotic galaxy through blind faith and endless sacrifice. Enemies are closing in. The Tyranids evolve without pause. Chaos has found unity. The Necrons are awakening. And in the meantime, mankind's empire remains trapped in dogma and division. No one knows for certain what lies ahead, but among the fading stars, if there is still a light bright enough to guide the way, it is this: the courage to change or quietly vanish from the universe.